there, my friends. Welcome to The Trace. I know it's been a while. I seem to have started some kind of electronic online social distancing before the official social distancing began, because, yes, this is the first Trace episode recorded during quarantine, during social distancing. I figured probably a better time than any to share some love with everyone and some ideas, some movies, of course. And today, actually going to talk about Scarlett Johansson, my top 5 Scarlett Johansson movies. I figure it's a good time as any to talk about movies because everybody's looking for something to watch, something to do, podcasts to listen to, movies to watch, new ways of working out or connecting with your friends. I know I've been talking with people that I hadn't seen in a long time or that live in other places, and I've been actually having a chance to really deeply connect, which has been cool. I've definitely been going at my movie watch list, especially some ones that have been on there for a long, long time. So far it's okay. I hope you're all doing all right. This is the longest I've gone without working a normal job. It's like 2.5 weeks now, I think, and this is the longest I've done that since I don't even know. So I send love to everybody out there. Thank you for listening to The Trace. I'm Andrew Thomas Hackett. Before we get into the wonderful Scarlett Johansson, I wanted to say something about love in the time of social distancing. We all need each other right now. Everybody needs community and time with the people that you love. So I just want to encourage everybody to, it's easy maybe right now to, get down. And I know yesterday I had kind of like a hard day where I wasn't able to get much done creatively or be effective in the projects that I have and stuff. And I think sometimes we're going to have a day like that going through this. There's so much mystery, so much we don't understand, so much like every day feels like waking up to new possibilities and impossibilities, things that we never really imagined before except in movies and science fiction. So it's a chance to use the phone, call somebody you haven't talked to in a while, reconnect with people maybe that you haven't been around because they're not a part of your everyday life, things like that. When this first started happening, and I remember hearing the term social distancing, and it was like literally everything I'm against in general, in normal life, because I really believe that we need community, and community has been so devalued, and public spaces have been so devalued in the age of the cell phone and social media and everything. And I think it's so weird that right now social media is kind of like keeping us going. But I hope that we can remember that when we come out of this, however that looks like, let's go back to the public space. Let's go back to volunteer politically, get a part of a church of your choosing of the religion, get a part or non-religion, whatever. Be a part of a union, start a band, book some shows, do art in a community. Like, we need solidarity now, but we also need new forms of public solidarity after this, because the way I see it is that something has happened in the last 10 to 20 years where we are being isolated so that we can buy stuff and be controlled by mega corporations and fascist Republicans. And it has hurt our spiritual lives. It's devastated all forms of collectives, be they religious, be they political, be they union or art collectives. If you think about a city like Seattle, where I live and where I'm from, people still to this day talk about, Pearl Jam has a new album, and people still mythologize and romanticize this period of Seattle in the late 80s where it bred all these bands, this great bands, The thing is those bands, the reason why they were here and they could be here was because they could all work at a cafe for 20 hours a week and still afford to live here because it was cheap. Seattle wasn't some fancy, yuppie, bougie mega corporation place. This Seattle is completely different now. Artists can't live here, and I'm not just like whining or complaining. I just want us to be. I want to be personally, and I want the people in my community and myself to use our agency and really think about what we want. What kind of life do we want to live? And this is a chance right now for us to realize what's valuable and what is not valuable. And public spaces, whether they're for art, whether they're for practice of religion, whether they're political expression, these are essential to our lives. And there have been people in this country that have been trying to break down the public space, and we need to take the public space back. The key word right now in the middle of this is solidarity. We need to stick together. We need to support each other emotionally, mentally, economically. This is a chance for us to practice the thing that a lot of us want, which is more of a social, democratic kind of society that is not, instead of being based on competition, is based on supporting each other, working together, nurturing each other. This is a chance to do that and learn and be like, after this, we know how interconnected we all are, and we need each other, not in a competitive relationship, but in a supportive relationship. That's the kind of world that I want to live in. This is also a reminder of how complicated ethics are. What normally would be, I would say, wrong, which is just to stay inside and stay away from people, that normally I would say that that's wrong. That's not the right way to live. You need to be getting together with others, and this just shows that love, which means to seek the good of the other. It's not even really a feeling. Love is more like a decision that you make, where you're committed to the good of others. Love, which is the basis of ethics, in my opinion, love calls for different action under different conditions. I literally yesterday was talking with my 12-year-old son, who's really sad that he can't play with his friends in person. And we had to talk about why that is, and why it's seeking the good of the other people, especially people that are more vulnerable. And since we're all interconnected, which this thing proves to us, how is it that this virus has spread across the entire planet within a few months? Well, because we're all together in this. We're not alone. And when you think about upcoming climate problems that are going to be coming in the next few decades, we're going to see that once again. And this is a wake-up call again for climate change, because we see what happens when something affects some people, it actually affects everybody, because we are truly, truly interconnected. That to me is the lesson of this in every way. Not just humans, but, with the animal life, plant life, like us on this earth, we are in this together. We're interrelated. We're interconnected. There is no individual by themselves. The individual is connected to the other. We are connected. And I did want to talk about a word that is hard right now to think about, which is that word is hope. My favorite definition of the word hope comes from the philosopher Kierkegaard, who says that hope is the expectant relation to the possible good. What that means then in that context is hope means that something good can happen, but it does not mean that I expect a specific outcome. So now, during a time of fear, for good reason, for our loved ones, and then isolation, which can lead to depression and all kinds of things for all of us. Well, how do you have hope? The way that you have hope, the expectant relation to the possible good, something good can happen. I have hope in the sense that, okay, hope means I can reach out and I can connect with people that I haven't talked to in a long time. And then who knows what happens when we connect, but good things can happen, which is exactly what's happened as I've reached out to people. Another form of hope for me is this lesson of solidarity and interconnectedness we can take after this when we go back to life, the public life. Let's not allow corporations and fascists to tell us who we are. Let's decide who we are in community with each other. So hope sees that there are good possibilities. I'm not sure what that looks like. It just means like good things can happen in the midst of this and in the future. So I hope that you can retain and keep some kind of hope in your vision in your mind as we go through this. Good things are possible. As I said before, I've definitely been watching a lot of movies, which has been awesome. Always the joy of my life. And there's a website called Letterboxd, which is really fun, really cool if you're a movie lover, where you can rate all the movies you see and write reviews and talk with other people and make lists, one of my favorite activities in life. And so I made a bunch of these lists. I've made like, I don't know, 70 or 80 of them for fun, like top 10 for every year from 2018 to 1940 something. And then best 25 movies of every decade, going back to the 30s. And that's just fun stuff for me. And then I've also been making just these simple top 5 lists for actors, directors. And so today I thought it would be fun to look at my top 5 movies of Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett has been in the news lately, as she has been basically since she really became famous because of her role in Marriage Story, which was a movie that I liked, although I didn't love it, but it had some really cool stuff in it. And then Jojo Rabbit, which I haven't seen yet. I've heard different things, but she's supposed to be very good. Scarlett Johansson was born in 1984 from Manhattan. She was trained in stage and film acting since she was a kid. She burst onto the scene with Ghost World, which I remember seeing back in the day, and she plays kind of an awkward, kind of nerdy kid. And eventually she became a superstar through Lost in Translation. She continues now doing everything from art films to comic book movies. She's an actor of the highest talent that manages to connect with pop audience as well. She's a very unique kind of actor in that way, because both popular and critically acclaimed, and she's been doing it now for quite a while, considering how young she is, and doesn't seem to be falling off in the least. So here's my top 5 Scarlett Johansson movies. Number 5 is the Coen brothers' Hail Caesar from 2016. This is a movie that I feel like is super underrated and underseen. I don't know what it was that people wanted from this movie. It's set in like 30s Hollywood, and it's about a studio head dealing with all the problems in all these different movie productions that are happening all the time. And Scarlett Johansson plays like a famous actress who is pregnant and trying to hide it, and she's not even really one of the main characters. It's kind of an ensemble movie. There's a lot of really cool actors in it. It's a total blast. It reminds me of like Scarlett Johansson when she's on SNL. You can always tell that she's up for anything and really fun. And well, she's engaged to Colin Jost. They're the head writer, one of the head writers, him and Michael Che. She seems to be able to have fun in a movie like Hail Caesar, and then be able to take on really difficult, emotionally challenging movies as well. She's very diverse, and again, she seems not too concerned about her image or anything, like willing to be very playful to super like art films. And I just think Hail Caesar's a blast. It's super light and fun, so it's probably the kind of good movie to watch right now. So that's my number 5 for Scarlett Johansson. Number 4, I got Under the Skin from 2013. This movie is insane. If you want to watch a truly unique, go to another world kind of movie, this is it. The first time I tried to watch it, I actually only made it like halfway. I made it about halfway through, and I almost turned it off because it was just like, there's some pretty painful stuff in the movie. It's very hard to categorize this. It's kind of, I guess it's a science fiction art drama, but also kind of a horror movie in a way. It's very unique. It's beautiful. It's visually incredible. I'm not going to try and describe the plot because it's very vague and mysterious what's happening. I'll just say that she plays a woman who goes around and all over some town in Scotland and just tries to pick up men and take them back to some building where something weird happens. It's hard to say what it is. It's a truly challenging movie. There's a scene where her character, who you really don't understand what's going on with her what, there's a scene of compassion and empathy that like awakens her character that I find extremely moving and beautiful. This is a very difficult acting job. But the second half of the movie, and especially the last section, she does some things that are brave and intense and terrifying and vulnerable. I think it's a special movie. Under the Skin, I think it's aging extremely well. Along with Annihilation from like 2 years ago, there are two science fiction movies from the last decade that I think are really going to hold up over time and get more and more love and respect. Number 3, Scarlett Johansson, Her, from 2013, same year as Under the Skin. We don't even see her in Her. So she plays a computer program in this movie and a who knows what in Under the Skin. It's quite the duo of unique, strange movies that are somewhat related to science fiction, but at the same time, nothing like any other science fiction movie. She brings real heart and soul into a movie that doesn't seem like it would work if you don't know about Her. It's a Spike Jonze movie with Joaquin Phoenix, Amy Adams, and it's set in the near future, and it's a guy who writes cards between couples, and he's lonely, and he's thinking about his ex-wife, and he ends up getting this computer program that adjusts itself to you and gets to like know you. It's like an artificial intelligence program. And basically him and the computer program, which is only a voice, is played by Scarlett Johansson. They start to develop a relationship and kind of fall in love. And it sounds like it would be goofy or something. I think the movie's beautiful. It's another one that the next time I saw it, like the second time and third time, the movie just got better and better for me. I know it doesn't work for everybody. I think it's a wonderful rewatch. And for her to give so much soul when she's literally just a voice and really has some moving scenes. Wow, that's impressive. Number 2, Scarlett Johansson movie. Vicky Cristina Barcelona from 2008. This is a movie I've written about extensively, talked about endlessly. I saw it in the theater in Mexico when it came out. Woody Allen movies tend to have this major focus on that happiness isn't possible. And I think he comes at the world from a very particular point of view that believes that the only way you can have any kind of happiness is by fantasy. And so he can be very good at showing how consumer capitalism cannot lead to happiness. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't seem to have another way of getting to happiness outside of pure fantasy. In Vicky Cristina Barcelona, we get two main characters, Johansson and Rebecca Hall, and they're on vacation in Spain, and both of them are kind of, well, Scarlett Johansson's character like wants to be an artist, but she doesn't know what she's doing, and Rebecca Hall is about to get married to a very, like a rich, just kind of a regular guy. And it's about how they're both making choices that they think will bring them happiness. One is choosing safety and security and wealth, while the other one is pursuing spontaneity and passionate romance and art. But in the end, both are wrong because what they're looking for is an ultimate kind of happiness, whether it's through passionate spontaneity or safety and security. They're not actually looking for how do you practice love in the world towards others, how do you get involved in the world in some form of activism, and how do you give to the world. All they want is to take happiness. In other words, consumer capitalism. And this leads to a repetition of despair. That I might be making the movie sound like really dull or heavy. It's actually really fun movie. Javier Bardem is hilarious in it, as well as Penelope Cruz. They're amazing. The movie looks absolutely beautiful. Makes you want to go to Spain, that's for sure. But the problem in the movie is that basically from the way they think, that the two women is, you are what you want, but you always want something else. The film shows the ultimate nihilism of capitalism. And Johansson she's funny, she's beautiful, she's sexy. She's also kind of a little bit pathetic in the movie. It's a very nuanced performance by her, and it's a 10 out of 10 in my book. I absolutely adore it. My number one Scarlett Johansson movie, I think, is fairly obvious. It's Lost in Translation, 2003. This is another one that I saw in the theater, and it absolutely blew me away. It was a transcendent spiritual experience for me. One of those very special movie theater experiences. It's an all-time great movie from one of the best directors of our time, Sofia Coppola. I resonated with Johansson's character totally from that first viewing in the theater. There's this thing, if you've traveled much in your life, if you've gone, and I don't mean going to a resort in Mexico, I mean real travel where you go into another culture and lose, in a way, your own to an extent. There's a sense of wonder, of fear, of beauty, but also this knowledge that you aren't a part of it. You're separate from it. And you are the other, and that world is the other to you. But the beauty that you can experience in travel is when people invite you in to their world, which happens with some of her Japanese friends that take them to clubs and a house party and all these different things. And you get these beautiful moments of connection between people that can't speak the same language and have totally different backgrounds. The karaoke scene is absolutely glorious with her doing the Pretenders song, and right after that when Bill Murray sings More Than This, and then there's the moment when they're sitting in the hallway and she just leans her head onto his shoulder. It's truly lovely. It's one of the oddest but most appropriate pairings in a movie, Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. I felt the same thing when I was watching Marriage Story, which is nowhere near Lost in Translation, but this pairing of Adam Driver, who's so tall and like lanky and beautiful, but in such a unique way, him and making Scarlett look so small. There's a really interesting dynamic between those two. But she seems to be able to work with just about anybody that she's paired with. She's one of our best actors. I think the thing I like the most about Lost in Translation is just watching Scarlett Johansson her character look out into this other world, whether she's out in the country of Japan, out in the rural areas, or whether she's right in the heart of Tokyo, going through all those arcade rooms and stuff, and just seeing the totally other, the totally different that is this culture. And somehow by looking outside of herself, you can tell that she's questioning the life that she's living, the decisions that she's making, her marriage, her future, everything. And her and Bill Murray, they seem to meet in this space of transition where they're changing into something new, but they're both kind of scared and they don't exactly know where they're going. And I relate so heavily to that feeling. I feel like I'm basically always in that space. And maybe that's one of the reasons why Lost in Translation is so beloved by some, and a lot of people think it's boring or just think that there's not that much that happens. It's one of those interesting Rorschach tests of a movie to see the way someone responds to the movie probably tells you a lot about how that person feels about themselves and their place in the world. For all of us who question and who seek and who don't feel quite at home in the world, Lost in Translation is one of the best movies representing that. So there are some movie options, some Scarlett Johansson movies. I think all these I highly recommend. They're 5 totally different styles of movies. I'm hoping to do some more of these just for fun, just top 5 lists to keep the movie options coming, and also think a little bit more critically and a little more like soulfully about why these movies resonate or don't with us. And I also want to just be putting out some encouraging words when we're all going through a scary time. If you are feeling isolated, please reach out to a friend. Please send me an email. We can all be connecting with each other. I want to give a full other movie recommendation to, if you don't have the Criterion channel, it is the ultimate movie lovers experience. They have so many movies from all over the planet throughout cinema's history, so all the different decades, and they have director commentaries and all kinds of interviews and extras. It's just the best. It is literally my dream streaming site, and I use it above everything else. So if you are looking for some more movies, you can just about pick any movie that's on the Criterion channel, and it's gonna be good. So, my friends, I thank you for listening to The Trace. Please, if you want to reach out to me, the Trace Podcast at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. Long live cinema. Thank you for listening to The Trace. Talk soon.